It's about quality, not quantity.
So guys, it should be your conversation, the way you flow, your presence is enough for a woman to want to be around you, not how much money you spend.
Dear sisters, it's about knowing your value.
My sisters out there, don't be afraid to scare a guy off just because you have standards.
Dear brothers, dear sisters, it's time to come together.
Hey, welcome back to DBDS Live. Welcome back, man. I'm your host, Mel Money. I'm here with my brother, Carl the Coach. Man, last week we weren't here. We are back. But I have to say, last week was a phenomenal show as to what the sisters have accomplished, man. But welcome back, my brother.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it was a nice weekend off. So, but just to sit back and watch the women, our queens, total takeover, man. I'm telling you, the nuggets, the bombs, the IEDs, they had it going on. And I tell people, if you haven't seen that episode, go back and watch it. I mean, they just really gave a wealth of knowledge for women and men on that show, and definitely looking forward to them doing it again.
Yeah, I agree, my brother. Listen, special shout out to the sisters for a phenomenal episode. You queens took over. You guys snatched the mics. You dropped nuggets. You helped out a lot of sisters out there. So a big special shout out to Tanisha, Ivy, Natima, Gianni, and Miyaka. Sisters are truly amazing, and we appreciate you all for sharing your wisdom. I mean, Carl, they was talking about masculine and feminine energy. These sisters was talking about Father's Day is for fathers, not for single mothers. It was so many jewels and nuggets in that show that I can rewatch it over and over again. Man, anything else you want to add about that episode? Because it's still mind-boggling how they was just dropping some nuggets, man.
They really did. Like I said, we have this constant 50-50 social media aspect of it, and to see feminine, positive women who work and who understand what it means to make what works in your household, and they broke down each of their households that. And debunked a lot of the foolery that's out here. And I think that's the biggest thing we talk about. It's hurting us. And I love our platform and what we're doing. It's just opening up the door to have healthy conversations and trying to develop these healthy relationships and healthy communities, because most of this stuff is toxic memes, or trying to live like the Joneses, what we see on TV all the time. In the entertainment world, we see the Will and Jada in the news, and I'm sick of them. Just go at
them too, man.
I don't want to hear about your red table. I don't want to hear about your open marriage. I don't want to hear none of that stuff. But that's what people are looking at, and they're like, "See, we can do this," and that's what's destroying a lot of especially our community. What's being destroyed. So,
you know what? Some people are gonna see that as a way that it may start normalizing that sort of behavior. By the way, shout out to Brittany Carmel, Martha Smith, Tamika Jones, Tamika Borders, Alicia Jarvis, and everyone else that's coming into the DBDS Live platform. Appreciate that. But yes, that's gonna saturate and just make it acceptable to have those forms of relationships. So I'm tired of seeing that in the news. I'm so tired of bad examples and toxic examples on what our community is looking at. It's just mind-boggling to me, man.
It is, and that's why, like I said, for us, we just got to continue to promote the relationships that we see that are healthy and thriving. No relationship's perfect. We understand that. There's zero, but there are so many quality relationships that are doing well. And I know everybody talks about Barack and Michelle. That's the standard right now out there. But there were several other relationships out there. Denzel and his wife. You got Samuel, his wife. They've been married for years, and so that's what we need to be looking at. Not to say that they're perfect, but you just don't see them in the news on the negativity. You don't hear about the toxic stuff going on, and that's what I think. I just be honest with you. I think some people thrive off toxic energy. I think some people just enjoy because they're not healed. They like the toxicness. They like to wallow in it. It's like a swamp. Toxic. You see the cartoon and they see all the green bubbly stuff, and the character falls in and he turns into skeleton bones. I think a lot of people are just dealing with that, and they'd rather be a skeleton bone instead of having their flesh on and operating and doing the things they need to do. So, yeah, we just got to continue doing what we're doing and pushing it forward and having these great conversations, and bringing people on who understand what it's going to take to make these things work.
Absolutely. Shout out to Roletta and Stacy that just came into the platform. Appreciate you tuning in. Yes, I mean, we have a lot of work to do, man, and we're going to continue to change that mindset, reverse those trends. If you want to see that episode, make sure you go to YouTube, hit that subscription button, DBDS Live, and also you can check out our podcast right on our website, Dear Brothers, DearSisters.com, the official site dedicated to healthy and monogamous relationships. So we're going to get this rolling. Listen, it's time to bring our guests into the studio because we have a well thought out show today. And in fact, before I bring my guests into the studio, today's topic that we're going to hit on today is, why do broken people hurt people? And I know to the audience that is watching, we all been there. Sometimes we may have been the person that hurt our significant other, or we may have been hurt by the person that we were dating or in a relationship with. But this creates a vicious cycle if you do not learn your lessons from those relationships. You can't blame it on God, and you can't blame it on your upbringing or anything in that nature as to why you keep on allowing yourself to be in these toxic and bad relationships. So we're going to help you guys today. Just pull up my sister's comment right quick. We about to just get this popping.
Hey, Ruth. Hello.
Hey, Ruth. Okay.
And Sean Jones, she said, preach.
Chi-Chi, love you. Man. And this one is from Laquana.
Laquana, she said, hello. Hello, Laquana.
Yeah, we're gonna preach today. If you guys haven't caught the Holy Spirit today, we're gonna drop some jewels today. So with that being said, it is time to bring our guest into the studio. And today's actually our first guest that's joined in the studio. Listen, this brother is well spoken. He tells you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. And I'm excited to have him on the show, because this brother, he's in the group, but he be dropping knowledge. So first one coming into the DBDS Live studio is my brother Cecil. Welcome to DBDS Live.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing today?
Oh,
great. What's going on, bro?
Doing great.
I'm good.
Yeah, man. So tell the people a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and why you're on the show today.
Okay. So my name is Cecil Mitchell. I live in Greensboro, North Carolina, but I'm originally from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I actually met Carl in person at a nutrition shake shop. And first we got to talking about football, which was one of my passions. And then that created a bond right there. And then we got slid over to relationships, and we shared about life experiences, stuff like that. So he told me about the group. And, I've been in a bunch of groups before. And I was like, all right, I'll give it a try since I met my man. He seems cool. And I love the group. The group is way more mature than any other group I've been a part of. So I just want to thank you guys for the ad. I like what I see here and what's going on. So I think I'm going to enjoy it.
Man, we appreciate you coming on board, man. Now, listen, I always ask my guests that's into, the football type of thing. So who is your favorite team? Because maybe we could build a bond, man. I'm the Patriots all day. Sorry if I upset anybody out there. If you're a Dallas Cowboy fan, hey, I'm sorry. But who's your team, my man?
All right, so I'll say this. Take care of my boy Zeke. Gotcha. So I'm going to start off with Ohio State because we're doing good. So I appreciate them. So O's in the house. And then I'm a land because they kind of down with my Chicago Bears. So hopefully we're one step closer to getting a new coach. And I think we get a new coach, get somebody that actually understands NFL football, we might be all right. So those are my two teams, Ohio State and Chicago.
Okay. And listen, my sister Chi-Chi want to say what's up to you.
Oh, hey, Chandra, how are you?
Okay, she's in the house. And we also got, man, the mother of wisdom right here.
Right.
Oh, can't hear you, Carl.
There you go. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, my mom said, here I am. Hey, Mom.
All right. That's right. Now, man, you thought that was over with? Not at all, man. The next one coming into the DBDS Live studio. Listen, this is our first guest from the West Coast. So I'm really excited to have this brother on the show. And he's been a pleasure as well. And I'm glad because he has a lot of knowledge that he can share with us. Welcome, my brother Floyd, to DBDS Live, my man. Nope. Can't hear you, Floyd. Mic check, mic check.
Hello?
There you go.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. Definitely a pleasure. Been following you guys for a while. I live in Paris, California, which is Riverside County. I'm originally from Central America, which is Belize. I've been out here for a while. Currently engaged to get married September 18th of next year. So, Carl, put that on the calendar.
Ooh.
And you too, Lauren, Cecil, you guys are welcome to come down.
Man, that's what's up, brother.
Okay.
Well, congratulations. I'm sure the people that's watching the show, they all can. I'm going to share all that energy to you. Congratulations on the engagement, man, and everything. That's cool, man.
Thank you, man.
Yeah. Speaking of that, my sister Ruth, look what she said.
That's right.
West West Side. That's that Ice Cube voice. West Side. And all right.
And
She
from
said,
TTC said, "Congrats, Floyd."
all right, man. So listen, man. I think this is a great topic to discuss because the whole hurting people and broken people, I think the psychology behind hurting people that you love is quite complicated. You know, whether we do it intentionally or unintentionally, or we tend to get hurt in the process. Me personally, I think it's all a learning experience in order for us to go through the fire, right? And if you push through that fire, it will make you a better man or a better woman to position and prepare yourself for the relationship you desire, including the bad ones. Now, normally we do have a DBTS Anonymous section that people post, and we try our best to help that person and steer them in the right direction. But today's show, we're just going to jump into it and discuss these topics because this is a very important show because we have to stop that vicious cycle. You know, we have to acknowledge why we keep on getting into these bad and toxic relationships. We got to change the narrative. All right, my people, we have to. So the first subtopic that we're going to touch on today as to why broken people hurt people is the avoided attachment style. Man, I learned this, and this is so critical to know because a lot of people don't even understand what an attachment style is. So my thing is that the nature of interpersonal relationships is often determined by people's attachment styles or the way they were raised by their caretakers, whether it was your mother, your father, your uncle, whatsoever. And as a child, you learn to love in a specific way. So, for example, if you was the type of person that was not getting affection as a child, or if you experience hurt and abuse, the more than likely you may develop this style into adulthood. And some of the clients that I've talked to with this style, listen, they want a healthy relationship, but they keep their emotions suppressed and they come off very dismissive. And I feel like this sort of behavior isolates them from their significant other who wants affection, but yet there's no reciprocation from their end. And this may end up hurting that person in the process. So first, I'm coming to my brother Cecil. Listen, what are your thoughts on this particular topic?
You know, one of the things I think about when people get hurt, when I've been hurt, when I talk to other people, when I just watch people in general, I think all of us have that protection mechanism in our mind. Like,
Okay.
you know, something happens, like touch the hot stove, you immediately pull your hand back. There's no discussion about it, no thought about it. It's hot, I'm moving.
No doubt.
I think when people get hurt, in many ways, they do what I call the porcupine effect. They begin to stick out quills and stickers. Don't get close to me anymore. You know, the last time somebody did that, they hurt me. So they subconsciously, until they heal from that, like you said, push people away. But deep down inside, you know, we all want affection. We all want somebody to be close to us. None of us want to be an island to ourselves. So
Right.
it's like two conflicting forces. One wants to draw people in, but then the other one's like, okay, you've come close enough. Now sit right here. Stay at arm's length so I can evaluate you. And if they try to get closer, then that's when that poker comes out. All right, now move back. So that's kind of what I think about when I hear that or when I see that. Like they have to totally get healed to where they can, I guess, experience that same stimulus again, but not be hurt by it, not be moved by it. That's when you know you're truly healed. When it's like our arm. If you get hurt on your arm, somebody touch it, you're going to jump because it's a sore, it's a scab. But it's not until somebody can touch that thing again and you not jump that you're completely healed.
Ooh, okay, brother. I like that, man. That's the way you painted that picture. That is so true because a lot of us do come up with that defense mechanism and we end up touching that stove that burnt us. But the problem is too many people keep on touching that stove even after they touched it, you know? And we have to figure out why does it continuously happen? Why do they keep on going to that stove if they know that the first time they touch it, they almost lost 3 of their fingers or something like that? You know, so very well said. Before I come to my brother Floyd, have a quick comment from my sister Chi.
I think broken people crave love and sometimes hurt the part, but don't want to feel alone and think they need someone to be happy. They don't know how to love.
Yeah, I'm gonna come back to her comment. Very well said, Chi. Love that. So I'm coming to my brother Floyd. What are your thoughts on this topic, the avoidant attachment style? What's your take on that?
You know, I like what she said about at the end of the day we all want love, but I think a lot of our issues as an adult has its root in our childhood. A lot of times we don't want to go far. We don't want to go that far back. We want to go back maybe just a few relationships. You know, the last 3 relationships, the last 5 relationships that we had. But you have to go all the way back to the source. Like, you know, like when you go to the doctor, they ask you to give you a history of your family. You know, what are some things that have been passed down? You know, we have to go through and look at the things that we've gone through. I know personally growing up for me, rejection, physical and verbal abuse, I took all those things into my relationships, you know, and even to the point to where if a relationship was going well, I would sabotage my relationship, even though I wanted that relationship, but I would sabotage it because I didn't expect for it to ever last longer than what it did. If it lasted 6 months, I got nervous. You know, because of abandonment styles from my family, from my mother, abuse. At some point, I never, even though I wanted love, I didn't really think that I was worthy of it enough because where the one place that I should have got love, I didn't get it.
Gotcha.
You know. So a lot of times, you know, you've got to go back and you got to do the work. A lot of times we feel that we could avoid the work. You cannot avoid the work. It's just as I've gotten older and I've done a lot of personal work on myself, I've had to realize. I think Napoleon Hill said. I think he said something like, "People don't attract what they want; they attract what they are." You know. So once I realized that, because everybody that came into my relationship that quote unquote hurt me, I opened the door for those people to come in. You know, as much as I would want to have blamed them for hurting me, I was the one that opened that door. And it was funny because even in a lot of my relationships, while I was looking at that person as being a toxic person, the more as I reevaluate my relationship, I'm like, wait a minute, you was toxic. Because a lot of times in a relationship, we're looking at the other person as just being a toxic person because of how that person's treating us. We fail to realize that, wait a minute, you're just as toxic, or if not more toxic in a relationship than the other person is. But until you're willing to look at your own self and where a lot of this pain and hurt is coming from, you know, it's a lot of work.
Okay.
You know, we're doing a good job.
Yeah, man. I mean, very well said, man. I mean, two things that I want to point out that stuck to me what you just said is you must do the work. And I truly believe like the laws of, the dynamic laws of the universe, you do attract what you are, you know, and relationships are reflective because if you're
Hmm.
a broken and insecure person,
Hmm.
more than likely that energy is going to open up the floodgate or the doorway to someone that is like-minded as you are
Right.
or that same sort of energy. Because if you're toxic and someone comes across the way that may be someone that is, not as toxic as you are, it's still going to turn out to be a selfless and selfish relationship. There's still not going to
Hmm.
be a balance whatsoever in that. So shout out to Jeff and Chrissy that just came into the studio. So I'm coming back to my brother Carl. Listen, what are your thoughts on this topic? You know,
Um, I most people that have avoidant attachment styles, they tend to look at everybody else as the fault.
Hmm.
mm,
They
Hmm.
blame everybody else. Um, and that's unfortunate. They don't ever see themselves being responsible for whatever issues uh, come up or happen. And that's something I think that we need to really look at and understand why they like that. And I think Floyd touched on it. Basically, it goes back to childhood trauma.
yeah,
Hmm.
I think there's so many of us that have experienced um, that trauma that we don't know how to focus. You know what I'm saying? We don't know how to do stuff. And I've been guilty of, you know,
mm,
um, in my own instances where, I didn't realize what damage I was causing. Once I did, that's when you do the work. You sit there, you focus on yourself, and you do the work. But there's a lot of people, like I said, when they're dealing with this, it's like everybody's the problem. But if you have 10
right.
failed marriages or 10 failed relationships, you're the common denominator.
Wow.
I mean, so,
Hmm.
but if you blame everybody, I mean, we see it in the group sometimes. Every time there's a post, I almost could tell the people who are dealing with that because they put the same comment, even if it's a different type of post.
Hmm.
When you think about it,
That's
they
so
they
true.
go, oh, this person or men of this or women of this all the time, and they say, well, this is what I've been through, but then they're single, and I'm like, you're avoiding the mirror and realizing that because of the way you are, you can't even attach yourself. You have the four agreements is out there, but you can't even figure out how to get in a relationship because you blame everybody for every time the relationship fails.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Mm, man, very well said. Sometimes accountability is like kryptonite, and
Hmm.
it can really hurt you in the long run. So I'm just gonna pull up some more comments. Next comment, we need to get you on the show, Chi Chi. I love you to death. So she has a question for Floyd, right quick.
So when did you realize you deserve more than what you endured as a child for you to
She said,
getting
Floyd,
married?
so when did you more than what you endured? Mhm.
Oh, hello.
Yes, you
Okay,
can.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Floyd could touch on that.
You know, I began to realize that when I started to love myself.
Mm,
Um, what I was trying to give to other people, I wasn't able to give them truly because I didn't give to myself. When I started to really, truly, truly love myself, appreciate myself, value myself, that's when I was able to really begin to give that. Because at some point, even though I want to love because of what I went through as a child, I didn't really believe I deserved it. I didn't really believe that I was worthy of it. I looked at myself as damaged goods. You
mm,
know, so once I really, what changed for me was um, one day I went to the park and I read Psalms 139 and how it said that how God loved me. That was the beginning of it. Up until
I love
then, I thought it was a mistake.
mm,
I really, really thought it was a mistake. And when you look at yourself like that. You know, I'm a mistake, African American male. I'm expected to live until I'm 18 years old. You know, the best that I could expect to get from this world is probably a prison sentence or become a deadbeat father. So when you have all these things going against you, you're not looking at yourself in a positive way, anyways, because you're not coming from a positive household. You're not coming from a positive community, and then it's a lot of negative self-talk that was that was imposed upon me because a lot of things that I said, a lot of things I would say to myself, I wouldn't say that to my best friend or to a child.
Okay.
You know, so once I really started to truly love myself and understood that God loved me and really began to look deep within myself, where did the hurt start? I had to pinpoint where did this pain start and begin to heal. That's when it started for me.
All right. Thank you for sharing that, man. And this question that my sister going to ask next, I'm going to come to Cecil, then back to Floyd, and you, Carl. But this is what she was asking about this avoidant attachment style.
Did you go?
Breaking up, Carl.
She said, "Did you go to counseling or was it self-learned?"
That's a really good question. So I'm going to come to Cecil. As far as like this avoidant attachment style, I can hear you. Do you think something like this can be self-learned as far as like to turn things around if you were raised in an environment that you did not get the affection you deserve? Or do you think this is something more that you have to go to counseling or a combination of both? What is your insight on that?
My simple answer is I think it can be for most people a combination of both.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, depending on different people, one may weigh more than the other. For me personally, I have gone to counseling and I have learned myself some things about myself. I am right now in the process of going back to my childhood and specifically looking at events, situations, things of that nature, and asking myself and asking the Lord to share with me, how did that truly affect me? I'm looking in the mirror, no longer suppressing it, no longer toughing it out, no longer saying, well, that ain't no big deal. Well, if it's not a big deal, how come I'm thinking about it 30 years later? How come I'm thinking about it? Must be a big deal. 30 years, 35 years, 40 years later, it's still on my mind. Now, I can't remember what I ate on last Tuesday for lunch, but some other stuff is still there. So it's probably a big deal. So that's the self-learn part. That's the part, like my man, I study the word. I come on groups like this. I talk to my friends or whatever. That's the work I'm doing on myself, trying to understand what these scenarios are. I talk to some of my friends and I say, as a female, how do you interpret this situation? As a man that's been married, how do you, I try to get input from people who are different than me. The counseling part, I've been to counseling. I went a year ago for some things, some family things that have happened that were happening. And in that counseling session, we talked about a lot of stuff. And we talked about my childhood. We talked about my present. We talked about college. We talked about the different aspects of my life when I was married, all of these different things. Because again, there were some things on my mind and in my heart that I wanted to deal with, that I wanted to, again, get settled. My advice, and again, it's just advice to people. If something is constantly on your mind, in your heart, in your spirit, whatever, then it's there for a reason. If you can't seem to it, then get some help. Don't be ashamed to go to counseling, especially those of us in the Black community. We act like you go to counseling and something wrong with you. And we got to stop that.
Yeah, I agree. Preach.
Down on our brothers and sisters, who have gone to counseling, whether it's married counseling. I remember when I got married, and at the time, I was going to church. I was really, really going to church a lot. And my wife and ex-wife met in church. And so it just so happened after our wedding, there was a church retreat, a marriage retreat for married couples. And so I was like, well, what are you going to do? Well, first we're going to go to this marriage retreat. Then we're going to go on our honeymoon. Marriage retreat. Yeah. Marriage. And I said the word marriage counseling. Man, you would have thought I said we're going to kill people and take them to Mexico. I mean, my family had a fit. Aren't y'all going to marriage counseling for? Hey, just got married. Y'all falling apart already? Oh my
My-
Lord, counseling,
Woo.
something's wrong. It's just like doctor. You go to a checkup, you're healthy. You should get 2 checkups a year. You get your
Word.
teeth clean. That don't mean you have a cavity. But we have this mentality that we only do stuff when something's wrong. We only take our cars to get checked when something's wrong.
Yes.
And we don't have a maintenance mentality as a people. And let's be honest, some of them other people, they do. You don't believe me? I talk to my friends about, and I'm sorry for dragging this out, but I talk to my friends about, certain places I purchase my food from. Man, it's expensive. I'd rather pay $2 more up front and eat healthy food than a whole doctor's bill later on, and I'm up in the ICU with high blood pressure. We don't think like that, though.
Wow.
We don't think about getting grass-fed meat. We don't think about drinking water every day. We don't think about some of the other things to make it right beforehand, before it falls apart. And I think we take that into relationships. The only time we want to sit down and do something is when it's bad. Then it's, brother, I got to talk. What happened? Well, man, I found some numbers in her phone. Oh, you wait till then. And I just do that off the top of my head. You know what I mean? Like, why you want to talk then? Why not talk about keeping the focus good? Why not to find somebody that has a great relationship? You know what I mean? And, get some serious advice from them. Get some real advice from somebody that's been in there 10, 20 years. Put down the pride.
Woo, man. Man, very well said. Shout out to my sister Teresa. She just came into the DBDS studio. Appreciate that. And man, Chi loved that answer. She said, Cecil, that was an awesome
Thank you, Chi.
answer. And Teresa, here she goes.
She said, "Hi, gentlemen."
Hello, how are you doing?
Hello. I'm gonna come to you, Floyd. Same question. Do you think it's a combination to have counseling or coaching as well as self-reflecting, or you think that's a good thing for some people out there, or most people?
I think I believe it's both. I know it's both. One thing I like that I've seen coming out of this whole COVID thing, as bad as it was, is that we're having these topics that we needed to have probably over 50, 80 years ago.
Gotcha.
I'm seeing more platforms like this popping up where, as a people, we're talking about this. We're talking about mental health. I'm in mental health, and so there's a lot of things that have been handed down from generations. That I'll give you a good example. I met my daughter when she was 25 years old. I'll make it real short. Now, when I chew gum, I take one piece of gum out, tear it in half, and I put the other gum back in the pack. Now, my daughter never knew I did that. And so the first time we met, we're sitting eating dinner, and I look at her. She takes out a whole pack of gum, tears the gum in half, puts the other piece back in the pack. I'm looking. I'm like, wait a minute. She just met me. That's something that she automatically inherited from me. Never knew she did. So it's vital that we do the work, personal work as well as psychological work. I've done both, because as I've gotten older at different stages of life, a lot of those things still pop up, but I'm able to recognize those things now, and those things not overwhelming to me. Now I'm able to recognize, okay, wait a minute. The reason why I'm feeling this way is because of this reason.
Gotcha. Okay.
So you have to acknowledge it. You have to do both work. I wouldn't be the person I am right now, or even in the field that I'm working in, if I didn't do the work.
Yeah, I hear you, brother. Very well said, my man. And there's nothing wrong, and I love what you said, Floyd. And just to take from what Cecil's stating, you're right. We have this myth in our community that if you go see a therapist or a counselor or a coach, something is entirely wrong with you. And we have to start getting into prevention and not reaction, you know, so that way we can have a better understanding in our relationships and have healthier relationships. Because if all we do is react on the reactions because we did not focus on the prevention portion, then all we're doing is building dysfunctional bricks to create these dysfunctional relationships. Same to you, Carl. I mean, do you think something like this can be self-learned, or there's a combination of both counseling and coach? Because some people think like, I didn't do no counseling, but I'm healed. But then they end up going into another bad relationship. So what is your thought on that, man?
Well, you know how I am. I'm the anti-meme healer person, where, you know, people run around and say, "Oh, I read this meme, I'm healed." So I'm not going to say self-learned. What I think the word should be is self-reflection. The moment that you can take self-reflection, you can self-account, you can be self-accountable. Then you realize, okay, I've got to get help. But I do agree that we need to, in our community, especially for Black men, it's a taboo, literally, to go to counseling as a Black man. You're considered weak. You're considered insufficient to lead. You're considered all these different things. And we got to change that narrative. And, you know, I see a lot of women will say there's a lot of hurt men out here. But unfortunately, and I'm not trying to pit the sexes against each other. Unfortunately, though, a lot of men would go. But again, it's that stigma of, you know, or if I come to you as a man and you know, you're supposed to be my girl and you're sitting here and she, you know, my woman's supposed to be sitting here talking and you throw it back in my face, that causes men to shallow up, you know, to shell up. And see, we're taught anyway, don't cry, don't have any emotions, don't do these different things. And that's that toxic upbringing a lot of times for a lot of Black men, especially in a single parent household, continues on. You know, you have a lot of women who go through stuff and they, you know, growing up, and sometimes it's been abuse, you know, whether it's physical, verbal, whatever it's been growing up, they dealing with these things. And so we're just so afraid that if somebody finds out we went through something, that it's going to give us a stigmatism and not allow us to get the healing we need to have. So to me, I look at it this way. How can you self-learn something if you've been dealing with that trauma for 50 years and you haven't learned it already? It's not going to happen overnight. So that's why I said you got to self-reflect, and then you got to find somebody that's not going to be a yes man or a yes woman in your counseling and coaching sessions and just hold your hand and say, oh, it's not your fault, this and this, the whole time in there. We're too old at this point. You're in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, 60s. You got to take accountability to why you're not doing better. And I agree with you, said Mel, too, on we got to start doing it beforehand. There's nothing wrong with going to counseling. Like I said, I went to counseling, you know, through the crisis I went through in my marriage. I went to counseling. And if I didn't, I don't know if I would be here or in my sane mind. So I'm just going to keep it real, you know, and then I continue. And then even as a coach, I have a coach that I go to on a regular basis and talk to. So that doesn't stop for me. You know, I'll never stop that. It's just, like I said, it's just an outlet. Sometimes I don't even know I'm having a bad day. And I might call and he's like, hey, this and this. And I'm like, yeah. And I start talking. He's like, yeah, I'm glad you called. It's just what it is, you know, but I think it's just a conversation. It's not putting you into no mental hospital or nothing like that. And I'm not talking bad about those people. Sometimes people need those things, but you cannot self-learn this. You need outside assistance. Because if you haven't learned it already, you're not going to, all you're going to do is take it again. You may look good. That meme may help you. They look good, but you're going to end up destroying somebody else later on.
Man, woo, man, lots of gems, man. Listen, I'm going to do a quick plug-in. So shout out to, you know, my counselor that helped me, man. And his name is his name is Dr. Hope, Hope, Dr. Hope. And he really gave me hope, and he changed my whole mindset in my life and everything like that. So, you know, to my people, don't see it as a stigma. You know, go out there, even if you need to talk to someone that's really professional, and it can give you some gems and jewels to make you a better person. With that being said, I'm going to take a quick commercial break. Whew, nothing but fire. This is DBDS Live. Don't you go anywhere. Hey, welcome back to DBDS Live. I'm your host, Mel Money, here with my brother Cecil, my brother Floyd, and my DBDS brother Carl. And listen, we've just been dropping gems. Today we are talking about why do broken people hurt people? And this is so complicated, so many different factors. Before we chime in and go to our next topic, shout out to my sister Camille. She just came into the studio. My sister Shy, she just came in. Shout out to Floyd. You know, you've been very consistent and we appreciate you. My sister Samantha, my sister Yvette, Sinelli, my sister KK Buns, Brittany, Adrian, Carmel, and Carmel. Thank you all for tuning in. We greatly appreciate it. And also, if you're watching this on YouTube, shout out to the people that's watching us on YouTube right now. We appreciate that. So right now, we are going to dive into our second topic. And the second topic related to why do broken people hurt people is self-sabotage. And listen, a lot of people that are afraid of commitments, man, that's one reason why they may self-sabotage the relationship and hurt others in the process. So my thing is that this is a classic case of hurting the ones you care about, because when things are going well, and this can happen for a variety of reasons, which may include unresolved childhood trauma, or connecting your negative experiences from your past into your current one, and which we'll discuss later on with our third topic. So first, I'm coming to my brother Floyd. What are your thoughts on this particular topic?
Um, Definitely something I can relate to. Um, Looking back over a lot of my relationships that I was in, it's funny. Once you get healed in certain areas, you can look back and you can see where you were in error in.
Mm,
Until then, moving forward, you never see it. But looking back, I could see where some of my relationships, I self sabotaged once again because of abandonment, not having that trust. Even though I wanted to give a lot of love, but at the same time, I was so used to failure as a child, or even failure as a young adult,
okay,
that followed me into relationships where any sign that I saw that reminded me of the pain I went through as a child, I would automatically believe, well, something, it's not gonna work out. Or even some of those people may have been good for me, but again, I didn't believe that I really deserved it, the type of love, even though I wanted love, but because I didn't receive it, at a young age,
gotcha.
I would I would purposely sabotage a lot of my relationships because I figured at some point they're gonna abandon me. At some point they're gonna leave me. So let me leave before they get a chance to leave.
Mm.
You know,
Mm,
um, let me bow out before they bow out, because just the thought of someone telling me I don't want to be with you anymore, or I'm walking away from you, that was too hard for me to bear. So I figured I'll spare myself the pain. So I thought, and I will end it on my own. So yeah, I did a lot of self sabotage, and but that goes into your relationships, that goes into your career,
right.
that goes into other areas of your life as well. Not no, not just relationships.
Mm, okay.
Mm.
Appreciate the vulnerability, my brother. I mean, I can definitely relate to that because, you know, it's almost as if you have the fear of the unknown,
Mm,
and you don't know where it's going to head. And you think this person, he or she may be too good to be true.
hmm
Why this person is so polite to me and,
hmm
so kind and everything like that. This has to be some game they're running on me. So let me just end it quick.
hmm
And you really end up hurting that other person, and not end up hurting that person, but more than likely end up hurting yourself, because something that good may not come again for a very, very long time. You may have missed that train for the first
hmm
time,
Yep.
you know? So I'm coming to my brother Cecil. What are your thoughts on this topic, my man?
You know, what came to my mind was selfishness and greed.
Okay.
It was funny. I was watching a series on Netflix. I won't say the name because I don't want to mess it up for nobody, but it's a very popular one. But synopsis, this lady through her college years, she had a lot of relationships. You know, she's in New York doing her thing, living her best life. And then she met this one guy, you know, who just turned her head upside down. And, you know, he was all of this, but he was toxic. I mean, just brutally toxic. And so to the point where, I mean, just, you know, as a viewer, you're like, God. And so, you know, finally broke away from him. And about a month later, she meets this other guy. And, you know, he's the guy that's, you know, knight in shining armor on paper. They wound up getting married. He moved her to the suburbs. They had 2 kids, yada, yada, the whole story, right? But then I think it was like 8 years later or something, she starts thinking about this other dude and fantasizing about their sexual experiences and all of this stuff. And she starts writing it. And her husband actually finds her laptop and starts reading all this stuff. So, you know, it just avalanche comes downhill. And as I'm watching, I'm noticing this so-called perfect life that she said she had out of her mouth. Perfect husband, perfect life, perfect kids, everything's so great. But all of a sudden, and I say all of a sudden, after 10 years, their sex life is bad. And then so now everything they try to do is falling apart. You know, the communication, the connection, you know, one of their kids was in soccer and just all of it's unraveling.
Wow.
And it's like, okay, so for 8 years, you had a perfect relationship, you know, quote unquote, as she said. But now that this other guy has come back into the picture, everything starts unraveling. And I see that with a lot of people, whether they're dating, whether they're married or wherever, even on a job. You ever at a job, then you get hired by another job, so you get that 2 weeks. Man, that 2 weeks, you used to come early, leave late. Now you roll in with sweatpants on. Or when we were in college or seniors in high school, when you got that acceptance letter to your college.
Yes.
Oh, man, what they going to do? Kick me out? You come in, water gun people, whatever. You talk to that person you couldn't stand. It's just something about human nature. When there's another alternative, we take our focus off what was there.
Right.
Whether we consciously self-sabotage or subconsciously self-sabotage. It just changes. You ever watch some friends in a relationship and they're in the process of breaking up and one of them meets somebody new and now all of their words are short, quick, tight. Hey, how's Bobby doing? I don't know. He all right. Like, dang. Used to be the man in your dreams or vice versa. You know, how's Cynthia doing? Or better yet, y'all are somewhere, they don't even walk her to a car no more. Like, dang, bro, you're just going to let her walk out in the world, right? Because he got something else on his mind. Yeah. And I think a lot of times when people are in a relationship, but something else pops up, now they got to figure out how to get out of this relationship. Now they got to figure out how to get out of this. I mean, my man Carl said it earlier. Yelling Jada Smith. She won't be there. And I don't know the lady personally. I just go what they tell us about their life seemingly every other week that none of us want to hear. She in love with a dead man. I mean, well, can't compete with a dead man. That dude is dead. She's still in love with him. And it just is what it is.
Wow.
And younger man, and then all these other people. So come on, let's keep it real with stuff we know about. When we was kids and you was snacking on potato chips and ice cream and all of that stuff, you didn't want to eat them Brussels sprouts. You getting Brussels sprouts to the dog, even though they were probably better for you. You know, we all know now, yeah, you drink sodas, they taste great, but they're not good for you.
Right.
And then it takes a little bit to adjust to that good old water. Until your blood sugar is 375. Then you realize sweet tea ain't sweet to me. I'm talking from personal experience. Gotta make a decision. Sweet tea is sweet, but it ain't sweet to me. It don't like me. And I think a lot of times people in relationships, especially nowadays, and I love technology. I am a pro technology person. But you got text, you got tweets, you got social media, you got Facebook. I mean, we could talk ourselves to death with all the different ways to communicate. And looking at my brothers around, you know, we all grew up in the same age where you got a girl's number and then you came home and your mom was on the phone. And if it was after 8 o'clock, you had to call that girl later the next day.
Oh, yes.
So we grew up in a world of patience. And the ladies did too. Now, you get somebody's number, you text them before they get home. Or that other person gets somebody's number. I mean, we just had Geo. I hate to say it. How many people going to break up because of Geo?
Wow.
And I'm not speaking negatively. I'm just keeping it real. Somebody met somebody that said, hey, I like them a lot better than what I got waiting for me back wherever. Or you get back and there's an argument. And then you start thinking about that, you know, how cool it was dancing at the white party. It's just life. But what we have to do is learn to be disciplined. I'm not going to let the circumstances sway me. I'm going to be intentional and principle led. Now, sometimes you need to leave some stuff. If you're in a bad relationship, you're in a toxic relationship, you should probably get out.
Right.
Nothing, here's the funny part. Nothing says you have to stay out. I think we get the idea from, you know, movies and media or whatever, that once it's over forever. But I do believe people grow up. A lot of people say, do people change? I don't know. I do believe they grow up. I do believe they realize they made a mistake. I believe they realized they messed up. I believe they realized they were going about it the wrong way. But I had an acquaintance years ago. Was in a toxic relationship for over 10 years. Got married, got divorced, the whole 9 yards. You know, I saw them from like start to finish. And I finally asked her, why are you doing this? This is 10 years later. She said, I'm so afraid that he'll go with somebody else and become the man of my dreams. I'm like, Cecil being Cecil, but he's the man of your nightmares now. I know.
Woo, man.
I said, he's a whole horror movie now. And hear me when I say this. I'm not talking bad about that brother because I never hung out with him. I got everything from her, and we know how that is. There's two sides to every story. But I'm like, every time you talk about this, every time you come around, you're crying, you're boo-hooing, you're upset. This is not healthy for you. It's probably not healthy for him. And he may go and be the greatest man in the world to somebody else. You may meet somebody that's the greatest man in the world for you, but you're missing out on that, holding on to him so tight that God can't put nobody else in. You just totally wrapped up in him, and God may have something better for you. But you can't even see that right now because she was self-sabotaging potential relationships. That's a whole nother thing. People can have opportunity to get something good. They sabotage the opportunity to get something good because they're worried about something else. So it's kind of like two sides to that coin.
Yeah.
All right, I'll talk about my. You know, you can be in a good relationship and sabotage it, but you can have an opportunity for a good relationship. How many times have you tried to hook somebody, one of your homeboys, up with a nice lady? Oh, no, man, her left eyebrow messed up. Come on. Really? Oh, eyebrow. Or like, I don't like his nose. His whole nose? Okay. And you really want to say that rascal you was with last time that we had to come rescue you from? But we have to recognize what we're self-sabotaging. Like my brother said, past hurts, past relationships, childhood issues. Why are you sabotaging this? Why are you, causing conflict? I tend to have some of the people I talk to, friends or whatever, and you can tell when it's like a bad conversation. I've learned to come back and say, man, why are you giving me grief right now? I mean, what's going on? That usually helps the person reset. That kind of helps them think like, you know what, I am kind of being a pain right now. So hopefully we can surround ourselves with good friends. Like Carl said, it's not going to sugarcoat it. It's not going to hold your hand, but in a loving way, call you out and keep it real.
Whew, very well said. Away. Shout out to Marianne, Brian, Quanda, Tanya, George, Toya, Angela. Thank you guys for coming into the studio. Very well said, my brother. A lot of nuggets you was dropping. And before I come to call, I think one of the reasons why we sometimes self-sabotage something, because we allow our preferences to overcompensate our standards. So somebody's preference may be like, oh, I just want a man with a six-pack, and he can only eat vegetables and things of that nature, not realizing that the standards, if you're not compatible with that person, it's not, the values is not going to align. You're in for a failed relationship when you overcompensate preference over standards. And I think that happens a lot to the self-sabotaging portion. I'm coming to you, Carl. What is your thoughts on this topic?
Just real quick, like I said, I three key points. I agree with everything Floyd and Cecil said. A lot of people self-sabotage because they're afraid of intimacy. And I don't mean sex, but actually being intimate in an intimate relationship. I know everybody hears intimacy, they immediately think sex, but to be in a quality, healthy relationship takes you being intimate with that person. And there's a fear factor. I think the fear of being intimate causes people to self-sabotage. I always sit there and, I use the, stop looking for the other shoe to drop. When I hear a lot of women, they talk about men, and I'm like, there are good men out here, and you're experiencing them, and they open the door, they send you flowers, they'll they don't do the 900 good morning and good night text message. They actually do a full paragraph, but it's like, something got to be wrong with this guy. And I mean, I get hit with it. Oh, you're a good guy. There's something got to be wrong with you. I'm like, why? Why? I mean, none of us are perfect. So yeah, there is something wrong, but why are you looking for something wrong? And I always believe if you look for something hard enough, you'll find something. Just like Cecil talked about the eyebrow and the nose. If you look for something, you're going to find something wrong with an individual. And in that case, you're self-sabotaging your relationships because you're looking for something to be wrong with her or with him. And the other thing is, that as you brought up, the preferences over standards makes a big difference. There's a lot of people that have these preferences for people that they can't even meet. And
Some
because they can't meet it, they end up sabotaging the whole relationship before it gets started. Or even people, when they say the first time I see a red flag, I'm out. And I'm like, what flag are you talking about? Because somebody may move the way somebody else moves doesn't mean it's a red flag already. If I walk up and put my phone face down on the table, you're like, oh God, he's got to be cheating. My ex cheated because he put his phone face down. That's something that you that's a red flag. But I'm thinking to myself, that's crazy. It's not. I put my phone down because being a business owner, my phone rings all the time or stuff pops up all the time, and I don't want to be distracted while I'm paying attention to you. But that's a flag to you, and you just assume I'm cheating. Okay, you need to go heal. That's a toxic situation.
Very well said, man. Gotta drop a bomb for that, man. Yeah, go ahead, my brother Cecil.
That whole preferences thing is so interesting. Like I said in the beginning, I've been in a lot of different groups on Facebook or whatever, and that's always hovering in the group. My preference this and my preference that, and my thoughts are this: everybody, if they look at themselves, has a preference. That's what a preference is. Whether it's chocolate ice cream over vanilla ice cream.
Right. Okay.
You know what? I like them all. I do prefer chocolate. If there's chocolate there and I don't have chocolate, I'm going to grab that chocolate. But that doesn't mean I dislike vanilla. And I think that's one thing, like that's step one. Like just because you have a preference or somebody has a preference doesn't mean they hate everything else. But also, like my brother said, preferences versus standards. I think that could be a whole show. I think we're all growing, learning, and evolving. And sometimes knowledge comes from other people's experiences. And I think I've seen with my own eyes, a lot of people put all of their eggs in their preference basket, not so many eggs in their standard basket. And if they're going to fix it or build it up or get it right. Oh, like you said, he looked the way I want him to look, or she looked the way I want her to look, or they make a certain type of money or whatever it is. And then they're going to fix up the other part. You got somebody that looks amazing, but their character's at the bottom of the floor. But you think you're going to fix them. You think you're going to get them right. You're going to church them up, or you're going to self-help them up, or you're going to drag them to counseling them up, or whatever it is, so that once you get their insides fixed, you still got the outside. Everybody's choice to make. I've just seen it be dangerous. I've realized, or when I was maturing, I recognized it kind of like a car. So the purpose of a car is to get you from point A to point B.
Right.
And I think that's the thing. We got to start looking at purpose in our relationships. The second thing is a standard is a good transmission, because that goes directly in line with that purpose. A standard, is, good engine, steering, alignment, balanced tires, air in your tires, all of those things. But those things ain't aren't quote unquote sexy. A preference is leather interior, a booming sound system, DVD player, all of those things. So when we look at it from a car standpoint, can you get to point A and point B without leather interior? Yeah. Can you get to point A and point B without transmission? No. Can you get to point A and point B without a booming system?
Gems, man.
Yes. But can you get to point A and point B with flat tires? No. So what if we took that same kind of mindset and put it in our relationships? Can I have a healthy relationship with this? Yes. That's standard. Can I have a healthy relationship without it? No. That's the standard. You might want to keep that solid. Well, can I have a healthy relationship without whatever it is? Yes. Then that's a preference. Now, don't get me wrong. Go for all your preferences, because I like leather interior. I like booming system. I like all those things. But I'm not going to let that be the deciding factor to transmissions check. I'm not done, but I'll stop there. I don't want to.
We appreciate that. I'm sure the audience was getting a
Wow.
at that. Let me come to Ruth right quick. She loves what you were saying, man.
Thanks, Ruth.
Listen, I love how you were saying that, man. It's very the visual, man. The fire, the gems. That makes so much sense, because your preference, you're right. You may want the leather seats, the boomer system, and everything like that. But if the standards, you have 4 flat tires and the transmission is messed up, it's not going to get you from point A to point B. So very well said. I do have a follow-up question, and I'm going to come to my brother Floyd. So I like how you broke it down, like back in our heydays, man. We used to have to take our time and be able to hold a decent conversation and so forth. Now, with everything, with technology and everything so easily accessible, do you think that this is the issue why people may self-sabotage a relationship? Because there's so many different options out there. You can go in somebody's DMs, you can text somebody, you can, whereas back then we didn't have all this technology, so it was a little different. Your gameplay had to be uptight. You know what I'm saying? I'll come to you first, Floyd. What is your thoughts on that?
Well, I think, you can be anybody behind a text message.
Okay.
You could be anybody inside, behind a date site. Oftentimes when you meet that person, you really meet that person.
Okay.
A long time ago, like you said, once, if a person met somebody, they spoke and it was face to face. But with social media, we could create a whole different identity. That's not who we really are. The thing about it is, eventually, when you meet that person face to face, you're gonna have to reveal yourself. Like I always loved the story of Little Riding Hood. The wolf looked like grandma for a while. But because Little Riding Hood knew who she was, and she also recognized how her grandmother really looked, she took her time to really not get so close and allow the wolf to reveal himself. I think a lot of times, and even with me, I've had to learn to let a person reveal who they are, because when you first meet a person, they say you meet the person representative, then you meet that person.
Right.
And a lot of times when we get to know someone, we don't give that person enough time to really reveal who they are, because of course in the beginning, that person going to put forth their best self. You're not going to see how that person is really get angry at any little thing. Uh, you know, take the person out in public. Let them see how they act when the food comment is not the right way. You have to give time. You have to give people time to really reveal who they are. Um, I think we need to go back to a lot of original ways that we used to talk. My son is actually courting a lady right now, which
Courting.
I'm blown away.
Mm.
And like that, I've tried it so many different ways that it don't work. So now I'm courting her. They're actually getting to know each other. There's no sex involved. Where he's like, look, we're doing it the right way, where I'm getting to know her outside of the sex, so I could know I'm with her for who she is, not for the intimacy part. So I'm really proud of him for doing it that way. But I think that's a lesson that we could probably learn moving forward when we continue to date or relationships. I know a lot of things in my current relationship with my fiance, I'm doing different.
Gotcha.
Because what they say, insanity is someone trying to do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. I mean,
Right.
yeah.
Man, okay, brother. Yeah. Before I hit you up, go to you, Carl. Have a quick couple of comments. People are still floored by what Cecil was saying. Sister said,
Amen.
Floyd said, "Amen." Okay. Next one from Laquana.
That's Floyd. She said facts.
Okay.
And then, yep. And then Bets, because she said, just like it's what you make it, so it is a relationship. And if it's not what you're looking for, don't waste your time and theirs.
Yeah, very well said. Appreciate that.
That's true.
Bessie. Yeah, very true. Man, so Carl, I mean, same question. Do you think with technology being so easily accessible, do you think that's part of the reason a lot of people self-sabotage relationships? Running in DMs.
I think it's a big. I think it's a big problem. Because like I talked about before, back in the day, you had the little black book. You had the girls' numbers in it. Whatever it was. If the girl moved, young lady moved, you couldn't get back in touch with her. That was it.
Okay.
Numbers changed. You couldn't take your phone number with you back then. Now you can have the same number, but with social media today, all it takes is you just put the person's name in a search bar or Google them or whatever. You can find out where they live, who they've been married to, divorced from, kids, firstborn child, birthday, everything else. It don't take much to find. Now you done hunted down this person, and if you have a soul tie with this particular individual, which is another situation we're dealing with, this person now reaches out. It's kind of like the movie Cecil was talking about, but now you reach out through social media and you connect with this person. And it's like, well, if your husband ain't, doing what he need to do, what our connection was like back in the day, this and this, but they were totally toxic, or vice versa,
Right.
Female reach out, was your wife, that she cooked like the way I used to cook for you, that she do the little swirl thing I used to do for you, whatever the heck it is. You got all this stuff that there's, that they'll get in your inbox. And then you have the flip side of where people, are not turning down their inboxes, where they're married and they have people in their inbox that they don't even know commenting on stuff. And then these people fall prey to that. So, I mean, to me, I always say social media has made it difficult to date because it's allowing people to have multiple options. And because some people have so many options, it's putting them in a position that they sabotage what they have because they're looking for the next great thing, not realizing that the grass is greener where you water it at, not to the next door. I mean, like I said, you can see green grass and walk over there. Weeds are green. I mean, weeds are sometimes the best green you're sitting out there and looking at. So now you went over. Now you got a bunch of weeds, or you go over and you realize it's artificial turf, and now it's fake. Now you can't even do anything with that because it was fake, and you got over there, but you got bamboozled because of your inability to stay true to what you had, and now you sabotage what you have. Then you want to go back to it, and they don't even want you back no more.
Woo. You know, and this is why I tell people when you get to know someone, character always comes first. That comes first before money. That comes first before popularity. Character should always be at the top of the pillar when you get to know someone. You know, very important. So again, we talk about prevention and reaction. You get to know their character, then you can truly see who they are when they reveal themselves. You know, so with that being said, man, we're gonna take a quick commercial break. Nothing but fire. We appreciate everyone watching the show. This is DBDS Live. Sit tight.
Are you single? Do you know about dbdssingles.com? Are you ready to meet a quality man or classy woman? The DBDS brothers want you to know that love and loyalty still exists. So if you're ready to meet relationship-ready people, sign up today at dbdssingles.com. Let's make love and loyalty dope again.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back. I'm here with my brother Floyd, my brother Cecil, and my DBDS brother Carl. And listen, we've just been dropping some nuggets. Please, if you just join us, make sure you check out this episode again. Shout out to my sister, Joan. She just joined us. Appreciate you coming on board, my sister. Before we go to the last topic, we still have one from Bets regarding the last one we just spoke about when it came to self-sabotage. So I'll pull it up right quick.
He said, I agree. Technology is a big issue. People just look at pictures and what a person has, and then they lie a lot. Don't message me, call me, invite me out. If not, leave me alone.
Oh, whew. Man. And, no doubt. Next comment from my sister Joan.
She said, yes, character still counts.
Absolutely. That's the first and foremost. So listen, we are winding down. We're going to talk about one last topic. Then afterwards, of course, we're going to do our Jerry Springer moment. So the last topic that we're going to touch on is have not healed from their previous relationship. And listen, man, I know a lot of people that have been down this road. I've been down this road myself, you know, and you just kind of trying to look for that void, right? So let me size this up. So I believe some people are afraid to be alone. So they tend to rush into a relationship with someone else without self-reflecting from their last relationship. And I believe what ends up happening is that they may end up meeting the same person in a different body. And I think that's due to poor judgment or look for someone to complete them without being complete. Right. So I'm coming to my brother Cecil. What are your thoughts on this topic right here?
Man, so I love my homeboy, but I have a whole homeboy that has this problem.
Okay.
I mean, woman after woman after woman after woman. And when I mean woman after woman, like out of one relationship into another. And we've talked about it. I was like, man, take some time and heal and get with yourself and just chill. No, that ain't gonna happen. Well, why not? I got game. I can talk to him. Oh. I said, dude. And I know what it is. It's same mindset that thinks counseling is bad. You're weak if you go to counseling, yada, yada. You know, a whole lot of, don't take this the wrong way, but bravado, male Southern country bravado. Like, and nothing wrong with Southern country people. They're amazing. Right. But it's the whole, if I don't know about it or the people around me aren't down with it, then it's bad. That's what I mean by with that. Like, no, expose yourself to new things. The world is not the city you grew up in. Travel, go to other countries, get a different perspective of people around the world. And so his thought is, you know, it didn't work out in that last one. I'm just going to jump to this one. And I'm going to fix it. I'm going to make it work. I'm going to do whatever, da-da-da-da. But to me, it's like painting over old paint. Changes the tint. It changes the texture. It affects what you go into the next coat. So everybody knows you got to scrape the old paint off and get down to the bare wall or bare wood, bare whatever. Now you got a smooth slate to deal with. And then you can paint again and everything will be pure. So we all have to work on that and heal and all that. Now, I'm not saying that you should be a monk until you get totally healed and get it right. Because I remember in one of the groups I was in last year, one of the female admins and I were talking, and basically her comment was, well, y'all should get healed before y'all look for another relationship. And so it just dawned on my mind at that moment. I was like, what's healed? How do we know when we're totally healed? How do you know when somebody else is totally healed? Does a light bulb come on? Or was it the turkey baster thing? Does the thing pop out when we're done? Like, no one knows what totally healed is. And we don't have a timetable. It's not like, Carl, if you don't mind if I use you. Carl admitted that he had some challenges in his marriage or whatever.
Okay.
So is there a doctor that can say, well, Carl, according to my diagnosis, you're going to take 5 years to heal? And nobody knows that. That's not realistic. He's healed when he's healed.
Word.
He's healed when he feels comfortable about going into another relationship. Watch this. Even with the imperfections that we all have, but I still feel confident that I can be healthy in this relationship. Myself, the challenges I have with my marriage. Like I said before, when I could touch or talk about those situations and still be okay, not be pissed, not be angry, not be anxious, not be whatever, then I felt like, okay, I can move past this. So I say all that to say, like, people have to work on themselves constantly in or without a relationship, and evolve and grow and mature. Like I said, we talked about the maintenance early, but when you recognize that something has hurt you, you got to go back and scrape that pain off, get that stuff taken care of. Like my man said, he come in the house, he flip his phone down. Oh my God, you cheating on me there. This might be subconscious. Me, typically, okay, when I'm in a situation with a lady that I want to spend some time with, I put my phone on silent. Not because I'm cheating. There's a coach. I have people at work. I have people in other aspects of my life. My phone is constantly going off. I got this dog right here that wants some attention, and I'm trying to ignore her. But there's always something that is pulling for attention. So when I turn my phone off, it's more of a respect for the lady I'm with to say that I'm focusing my attention on you. I'm not trying to hide nothing. I remember my parents have passed away, but when my parents were living and they were in Philadelphia, when I would have company or go on a date, before I would do that, I would call my son. Hey, how you doing? Is everything okay? Do you need anything from daddy right now? No, I'm okay. I'm just playing my game. He was young. I'm just playing my game. Okay. Well, I just want to make sure everything's okay. Daddy's going to be occupied for a couple hours, for a little while. So he's okay. I called him. I checked on him. I made sure he's all right. And I may have talked to him earlier that day. But leading up to those moments, I wanted to make sure that everything's fine then. I called my mom and I called my dad. Hey, how you guys doing? Is everything okay? Yeah, I'm good. What's going on? I said, I tell them, hey, I'm going out on a date or whatever. If it's an emergency, let me know. But if I don't answer, don't take it personal. After I checked on my people, I felt very comfortable turning my phone down, putting it on silent or whatever, so that I could focus on my company. And I wasn't worried, like, I wonder if something's happening, or I wonder if everybody's okay. I'm wondering if somebody's checking on me. Because I already checked with my people, and they knew to check with one another just in case. And so I say all that to say, like, that was something that I did so that I could focus on people. But somebody else who wasn't healed would think I'm hiding something.
Right.
When you can go in situations and not wait for the other shoe to drop, not wonder where he's at, if he's 15 minutes late, or what's she doing, she not answering the phone, or whatever the cases may be, then you're healed. But if every time something touches that, I call it the black van syndrome. We've all watched movies, somebody walking down the street, a black van pulls up, they snatch the person, they take them, kidnap them, they police find them, and they get away or whatever, they go back to their normal life. But now every time they see a black van, they start getting anxious. What's going on? What's happening? They get nervous or whatever. It's not until they can see a black van and be like, I'm good. That situation happened. But that doesn't mean every black van I see is going to snatch me. Same thing. Every time he don't answer his phone, he not cheating. Every time, whatever the case, she go on a girl's trip, she not having an affair. When you can be comfortable, then I think that's when you're healed. and you're not taking that stuff into other relationships, questioning people every move, because that gets exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
Very well said, man. And just to piggyback on what you just stated, that comes across very smothering in a way too when you have not healed, because all you're doing is, like, I feel like we're always ever evolving, because I like how you stated that being with a light bulb, now you heal. We're constantly evolving as humans, right? And I feel like when you come to that point that you're in your relationship and that other person does not question your integrity if you're stepping outside of the relationship and so forth, I think healthy relationships is mostly freedom. It's not the lockdown mentality or the smothering mentality, but it comes to that mentality like, hey, that person trusts me so much that I have the free will to want to be around that person. I have the free will to talk to that person in a respectful manner. I have the free will to come and go because I know the healthy boundaries, and that person know me well enough that I won't step out of the relationship. I think when it comes to that point and you have that mindset, then you have a strong foundation, you know. So very well said. Before I come to you, Floyd, we have some amazing comments, and then I'll definitely come to you, my brother. First off, my sister Miyaka, DBDS sister.
She said, "So do."
So true.
Miyaka.
Yeah, love you, sister. We can't wait for part 2 for the Queen takeover. Next comment from Laquana.
Laquanda said, "Healing is very important before you enter into another relationship." Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree, 100%.
And from my mom, she said, "Good show, guys. Quick note: counseling is not a sign of weakness. Self-sabotaging is a sign that you need help. Finding yourself repeatedly in bad relationships is a sign that you need help. Do the counseling so you can shed all the bad stuff and begin to walk free and clear. We're meant to be happy. Counseling become new. Good night, all."
Thank you so much.
And
yes.
Bets
From Betsy,
she said, "You have to take time off and do some reflection on you. Learn from your mistakes. If you keep doing the same thing, you'll get the same result. You can't plant corn and expect to reap peas."
Woo, fire gem. Hey, damn.
And then she said, "Correct what went wrong in the first relationship before going to the next."
Fire, man. Very well said.
Wow.
Drop a fire from the comments, man. Appreciate that comment, Bets. Coming to my brother Floyd. What are your thoughts on this particular topic? You have not healed from the previous relationship.
I really like what Cecil said. And I really like how he said, well, what is healed? That really stood out to me.
Right.
I think that you have to be healed enough, if not totally healed, you have to be healed enough in order to move into a relationship. Because in any relationship, you're going to encounter some things from the past. But I think if you're not healed enough, any little thing in any other relationship is going to trigger anything.
Okay.
It could be something very innocent that will trigger you to make you think, oh, wait a minute, something's wrong. And then you go back into the self-sabotage mode. I know for me, good example. There's some things in my last relationship that I used to always say, well, Floyd, you weigh your emotions on your feelings. I mean, you weigh your feelings on your shoulders. And I used to say, no, I don't. Boom, there it is right there. And once I really stopped back and said, wait a minute, because in my mind I'm very passionate about certain things, and I'm thinking my passion is coming across in such a way. I'm thinking, why aren't you as compassionate about this as I am? And I'm thinking, wait a minute, looking back now, what the person was telling me was exactly right. I think a lot of times in any relationship, what the things we're dealing with are, or what that person is bringing out of us is things that we really need to address, but we don't.
Okay.
A lot of times in relationships, that person is mirroring you, is a mirror to the things that you really need to deal with, but you continue to ignore it, and then you take that same thing into another relationship until you're willing to recognize Because in all relationships, you're going to encounter the same things over and over again until you are willing to say, wait a minute. If if 3 or 4 people are saying the same thing that don't know each other, never been with me before, but these people have things in common that they're saying about me, but I'm still thinking it's all their fault. It's not my fault. Then it's going to be a problem. So you
That's
have to
deep.
take a you have to take a look at, wait a minute. Even if I don't agree with everything this person is saying, at least entertain the thought that at the possibility that what they might be saying might be correct. You don't even have to agree, but at
Mm,
least walk away and say, wait a minute, let me really do some self-reflection
mm,
and really see, wait a minute, maybe I do wear my emotions on my shoulders. Where have I heard this before? Oh, wait a minute, the last 2 people told me the same thing. You know,
mm,
um, I think moving forward, like what Cecil said, I think one of the things in my relationship that I have right now is the person I'm with allows me to be myself. But the thing is, because she allows me to be myself, and because she does what she's supposed to do, it holds me more accountable to say, wait a minute, I have to constantly, because she's constantly showing up for the relationship and she's
mm.
doing her part, I can no longer use the excuses in the past to say, well, wait a minute, I don't have to show up for this relationship, because this person is treating me so well and she's allowing me to be myself, that now I'm like, wait a minute, um, I have to constantly look at myself and say, okay, Floyd, this is what you, because what I have now is what I prayed for. But at the same time, okay, Floyd, you wanted this, okay, you have it. But even in this, even though I'm a good man, everything in areas, there's still some areas in my own life that I got to level up in. You know, that maybe I didn't have to level up in some other relationships, because I really wasn't getting I wasn't really getting what I what I needed. I was getting from those people what they thought I deserved.
Mm.
And it's a big difference. It's a big difference between getting from someone what they think you need and what they think you deserve.
Huge
Now
difference.
I'm getting, I told this person, this is what I need. Okay, you're saying this is what you need. Okay, so I'm giving you what you need. Oh snap! I'm actually getting what I need now. Now what I deserve. So as a result of that, now it's causing me to level up in certain areas of my life. Um, it's interesting. You know, it, but I really love I really love what Cecil said. Even in some areas in this relationship that in the past I might have went in the past I may have automatically thought it was something negative. Now I'm second guessing. Wait a minute, Floyd. Wait a minute. Give it some time. That's not this person. This person is not really showing you that. It's something in your past that's a residue left over from the last relationships
Mm.
that you really got to address. And so rather than in the past, I would bring it up to whoever I was with, because I automatically felt that this person was the person that reminded me of the last person.
Mm.
Now I'm not so quick to automatically say, "Oh, wait a minute." Now I hold it to myself and really think about, okay, Floyd, let's really analyze this. Don't get into your emotion, because what they say, there's a quote that goes, your emotion is energy in motion.
It is. Mm.
So do I really want to give that type of energy to that emotion and move it in a direction that I don't want it to go, that it shouldn't go? So let me hold on to this emotion real quick and let me really analyze it to see, is it really what it is? And then when you do that, you're able to really look back at yourself and say, wait a minute, hold on. A lot of the things that I might see might be in this relationship is not really in this relationship. But it goes back to where you still got to do the healing and the processing.
Mm.
So
My bad, man. I just threw the grenade. Didn't let you finish. Go ahead, finish, man. I'll throw the grenade after you finish, brother. You want to add something else?
no, it's what Cecil said, what Carl says, very very powerful. But I think At some point, it all starts with you. You have to go back in those areas and do those checks. Okay, well, I checked that, I checked that, check that. Um, Otherwise, it's not gonna be good for no one.
Word. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm gonna throw the grenade. Okay. Somebody just said ha ha because I threw the grenade too quick. Listen, it's all good. You know, the brothers are dropping bombs, man. They're going to continue to drop bombs. Coming to my sister Bets right here. See what she says.
She said, when you're not healed properly, when you take that person's fat and fry the person you're in a new relationship with, that's another way of sabotaging yourself and that person because you're looking for flaws. Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I agree with that, man. Wow. Man, thank you, Bets. Need to come onto the show. Coming to my brother Carl. What are your thoughts on this topic?
Yeah, I mean, that I would talk about healing. That's one of the areas that it's big for me with a lot of people. I always say people try to act like they're healed from memes or healed from just reading one book or something like that. They're I prayed about it, I'm healed. It doesn't work. It's real work. And I always say this. You're not. What I went through, how my marriage ended. I had to heal from that, and I knew I was at a place where whatever somebody was doing didn't, even if they did the same thing, it didn't mean that they were doing the same thing, if that makes sense. And that's when we get to that place. But I always tell people healing never stops. It doesn't. It's just like a wound. When you cut yourself, you get this scab on top of it. And underneath, the skin continues to heal, continues to grow back in underneath that. And it never stops. But there's scar tissue, even when it heals and you look at the skin and it looks fine, sometimes you got a mark left. Sometimes you got scar tissue underneath. If you have surgery and they cut you open, you got scar tissue. So that wound never fully heals. It never does. You just have to be able to deal with it. It's just like being a runner. If I have knee surgery, am I able to run again? I may not run at the same pace I used to run, but I'm still able to run again. It doesn't mean, so same thing with a relationship. Just because I was wounded, I mean, I'm not able to have the capacity to love or be loved again. It's just what is continuing to work through it and continue to heal. If you're constantly blaming people, for some, like I said, again, I'll go back to for the same things you're looking at, you're not ready. If the girl I'm dating, she goes out on a girls trip or on a girls night, and I'm like, God, is she cheating? I can't do that. I can't have, that's not a healthy relationship and concept. So there's a lot of people like that. Every time you throw, the man is this and this and this, and like, was he doing that? No, but I just assumed he was. But that's not what you want to do. You're not healed enough to date, and I don't think people want to take. And I think a lot of people don't want to go through the healing process because they don't want to look and have to maybe take some accountability that they were part of the issue. So that's all I got on that.
Ooh, okay. All right, so we're gonna take one last commercial break. Very fire, very well said, my man Carl. Shout out to my man John from The Edge. We need to have you on the show too, my brother. Appreciate you coming on board. Listen, this is a great fire topic. Before we go to a commercial break, I'm going to take one more comment from Beth. She is killing it today. Next comment.
You said, let's see. I've been in a couple of bad relationships, and I thank God I'm not bitter. I still look for the good in others because not everyone is bad.
Oh, yes, we appreciate that. Because when you're bitter, you're going to continue to get into those bad relationships. Then you're going to start getting into those little pockets where you say like all men are dogs, or you'll get into the pocket that all women are gold diggers. And when you put yourself in that position, it really comes from an irrational point of view because listen, no one has dated everyone on the planet, so it's just based off the people that you have experience in your relationship wise. So we appreciate that comment. We'll take this from the sister Sandy.
Sandy says she's better. We'll talk, Sandy.
Yeah, we'll talk, Sandy. All right. So this is DBDS Live. We'll take that last commercial break. Sit tight, and when we come back, we'll have our Jerry Springer moment.
so many people are calling for police reform. And so because they're calling for police reform, they may not understand that there are many organizations who are already responding.
And I feel like you have to really get to know people, see if they share the same core values as you before you get involved with them.
I want to ask a question as to how we got to this place right here, where mask wearing, where COVID-19, where public health is all politicized. I really want you all to think about this. How did we get to this particular point?
It's really a nice balance when femininity and masculinity can mix together and just create this awesome, experience.
Welcome back, my peoples. I am your host, Mel Money. I'm here with my brother Cecil, my brother Floyd, my brother DBDS, Carl the Coach, and we just been dropping gems based on why do broken people hurt people. And listen, this show, like all of our episodes, been nothing but fire. If you want to check out all of our previous episodes or the one that we just did today, you can go to YouTube and hit that subscription link. Also, we are available on Amazon Music, Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes. So make sure you check us out there because we are trying to reverse this trend. We are trying to put that seed in your head so we can start creating healthier relationships. Also, if you go to our website, check that out. That is up and running right now. DearBrothersDearSisters.com. Please go to the website if you want free content, if you want coaching sessions, courses. The resource is out there. Okay. So make sure you gravitate towards that if you want to become a better version of yourself. So with that being said, right now is the time for our Jerry Springer moment where we give our final thoughts to the audience and what we like to leave for the people out there. So first, man, what a phenomenal show. I am coming to my brother Floyd. What are your final thoughts for today's show?
I think the show was very, very good. Even listening to what Cecil said, what Carl said, what you said, a lot of those nuggets resonated with me as well. I do believe that everybody can have a healthy relationship. I do believe that you have to do the work. Some of the work is difficult, but it's worth it. I think everybody deserves to love and be loved. But I think you first got to learn to really truly give those things to yourself first before you can give it to anyone else. You truly have to learn your value and your worth and truly love yourself. I think that's where it all starts. Once the more you are able to do that for yourself, then you can truly give that to someone else. So I just wish everybody that's moving forward, looking for relationships, truly believe that it's possible. I wish them the very best. And thank you guys for giving me this opportunity.
Absolutely, man, brother. Very well said. And I love the fact that you mentioned the self-love portion and the investment within yourself. Part of that investment is surrounding your peoples. You want to be around positive people. And also, my people, I know this is cliche. Read. I'm telling you, reading is fundamental, right? It could change your life. I'm about to drop a bar right now. Listen, reading gives you information that can lead to transformation, but also can lead to motivation. I just dropped a bar for you. You know what I'm saying? So read, man. That's so important. Coming to my brother Cecil. What are your final thoughts for today's show?
First of all, gentlemen, thank you for allowing me to be a part of this and sharing in this experience with you, to learn from you, all of that. I really do appreciate it. My brother, we touched on some really great topics, and I pray that people will take this and actually do it, be doers of the word in their lives so that they can grow from it. I mean, we talk about counseling, we talk about healing, we talk about, understanding the difference between a preference and a standard. But I pray that my brothers and sisters will actually begin to put that into process, into play in their lives. so that they can find that relationship, but also be healthy in their other relationships and just enjoy the peace and the goodness that life has to offer.
Very well said. Thank you for that final thoughts, man. Before I come to my brother Carl, we have a quick comment right here.
I said Melly Mel with the bars.
Man, yeah. This is versus. You come on to DBDS, we're gonna drop bars in those gems. That's just how we roll. Appreciate that comment, Ruth. Appreciate that. What are your final thoughts for today's show, Carl? What phenomenal show, man.
Yes, phenomenal show. I appreciate both brothers being on here today. Biggest thing for me is the first thing I tell people to do is take a look in the mirror. Take a look in the mirror and ask yourself, do I get triggered easy? Are there posts that trigger me? Are there things that I see that trigger me? Are there people that trigger me? And then you need to figure out why you're being triggered so easy from there. Because it's easy to say you're healed. It's easy to say you're healthy. God knows I don't even want to use this example, a live example, but being a divorcee and having to co-parent, I've moved on and do what I have to do. But when I need to deal with her, it is absolutely the worst thing in the world. And she gets angry. And I'm like, you want it out. And yet you still walk around angry. I don't understand it. And that's a sign of a person that's never done the work. And I'm not talking bad about it. It's my kid's mom. I'm just being honest, using a live example of what that looks like. And a lot of times we say we're healed and we're whole. I don't get mad. I don't get upset. I don't care what names. I just continue to move on because I'm at peace. So many people say they're healed. If you don't have any peace, how can you be healed with no peace? It doesn't work. So take a look in the mirror, figure out what your triggers are. Figure out why this person's triggering you. Figure out, is it unforgiveness? Is it bitterness? Is it resentment? All those are things that will keep you in a toxic state of mind and only going to attract toxic people to you. I would say now, who's attracted to you, you got no control over, but who you entertain. And if you have full control. And if you're entertaining toxic people and entering in toxic relationships all the time, you're the common denominator. You need to really take a step back, take some time off, and heal. Really, really heal. Talk to somebody, point it down, write it down, journal it, figure out why, who, and how come this continues to happen so that you can get into a healthy relationship. Because I'm telling you, I tell you all the time, I want to see everybody win. I want to see everybody find true, unconditional agape love. I want everybody to have a healthy partner. And don't nobody want to grow old and die by yourself. And if you say you do, you're lying. So I'll tell you to your face, you're lying. So let's just keep it real and go do the work. Start in the mirror. Start with yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. Counseling don't hurt. Coaching don't hurt. It don't mean you're weak. Don't mean you whack. It just means, to me, the person who seeks help is stronger than a person who chooses not to seek help.
Woo!
Right.
Jim.
Right.
And before I come to my brother Floyd, once again, Carl and I, we do coaching. So if you would like to set up a session with us, please make sure you go to dearbrothers.dearsisters.com. We are all here to help, and we can definitely put those seeds in your head to guide you in the right direction. Coming to my brother Floyd, what else would you like to add?
Just something that Carl said is something I've had to do on my own. He mentioned forgiveness. That is so important. Someone does something to you, forgiving that person doesn't mean that you're giving them the green light to say that what they did for you was okay. Forgiveness is not for that person. Forgiveness is for you. I always say this in some of my groups. Forgiveness, you hold the key to your own prison. You're the warden and a prisoner. And it's up to you to determine to use that key to either keep yourself locked in that prison or get out. Forgiveness is that key.
Wow.
Forgiveness is that key. You cannot move forward if you don't forgive. Bitterness, and there's some things that's occurred to us. Some things people have done to us, and if he was to ask you exactly everything that's been happening to you that's bad, you couldn't remember. You couldn't remember it all because that root runs so deep. You have to forgive again. to forgive someone, sometimes it's hard for us to forgive them because we feel like we're saying it's okay for what they did to us. We give them like we gave them the green light. No, forgiveness is for you. It's never for the other person. So I just want to kind of piggyback off of what Carl said, because that's something that I've had to do. I could not be where I'm at right now as a father, as a stepfather, as a husband, in my career, helping other people. It's impossible for me to be where I'm at right now if I had not forgave people that have done things for me. And the thing about it is, the quicker you forgive, that doesn't give the chance for that seed of bitterness to take root. You understand that some of those things that people did to you, some of those things was did to them. Then you begin to look at that person in an empathetic way. To realize that, wait a minute, some of those things that they did to you, not saying it's okay what they did, but say those people went through some things as well. So just kind of want to piggyback off what Carl said.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you for that last saying. Before I give you my final thoughts, let me just run through some quick comments, because I told you this show itself, this is why we did not do the DBDS Anonymous section, because we really wanted to hit every blow, every thing on these three common topics. Let's go to the next comment right here.
Ruth said, great show, guys.
Appreciate that. Next comment.
Great show, loved it.
That was Laquana, I believe.
Laquana, okay. And facts for real.
Okay.
And then Sandy, thanks for the tips. We'll look in the mirror.
Okay. That's already a step in the right direction, my sister.
Yes.
And last one from Betts.
My comments for both men and women: don't sell yourself short, and don't let a good relationship pass you by because of one bad apple. 7 brothers have 7 different minds.
Ooh, fire, man. And I just want to provide you with my final thoughts. Thank you for this amazing panel. Please, my people, make sure you check out the last episode when we had an all-women panel. It was the DBDS sisters that was dropping nuggets. Make sure you go to YouTube, subscribe to DBDS Live. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. So, with that being said, if you're hurting others due to the topics we just went over today, or if you're the person who continues to get hurt, then the first step is to acknowledge the choices you made and what lessons you learned from that experience. Because if you skip that step, then it will be more challenging to establish an authentic connection and may ruin your future relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Also, another way to avoid these repeated patterns is to work with a counselor or with a coach to help uncover these underlying issues that may make you hurt people, and if you're the one person who may be getting hurt. So we really want to focus on the prevention and not the reaction, so that way you can get the relationship you desire. All right. So once again, thank you to this amazing panel, and much love to the DBDS family. All right.
Take it away, my brother Mel.